the idea of this conversation is to have a discussion with them. What is their experience with Celo's technology, with the applications that I've mentioned? So Bernard is managing the community, the Weaver community that received UBI from Impact Market and was able to sell their products internationally through Paychant. As Emmaculate mentioned, she's a digital worker, so she participated in the pilot project with the UN World Food Program on like accessing online jobs and being remunerated in CUSD, in cryptocurrency. And then Emmah is managing the group of farmers in the Nuki, where we were able to extend employer-based credit through Mula Market. So yeah, maybe we can start. Like my first question is like, most of you guys, it was your first time to hold CUSD, to hold cryptocurrency. What surprised you the most about the technology? And yeah, what are your impressions and thoughts about it? Let's start maybe again with Bernard.
Ourselves into how the procedure is, on how the system works, and on how the pacing actually pans out. They ultimately find it easier than expected. They found it much more convenient than how it was even presented to them. So I guess that's something normal with new technology. People don't really understand it at first, but then eventually when they get the hang of it, then it's really an easy procedure. So definitely, the communities that we're having, we're supporting, they're now beyond their 5 months. So everything seems to be routine now. So definitely, that's something that's positive.
Cool. Okay, I will unmute myself. This is okay. Yeah, thanks, Bernard. And I think what you're speaking about is this process of building trust in communities, right? Especially like you're introducing something new, even if let's say there's an offer of like regular income, uh, climbing that wall of trust is very difficult and very delicate, I would say. But then, as you were mentioning, once they see that it works, once they see that it's, it can really help them, then they start to embrace it.
Right.
Correct.
That is correct, Angelo. So obviously, we definitely need to cement the trust because that's the foundation of what we're doing. If there's no trust between the manager, the provider, and the community, then it all falls apart. But one of the things as well that we truly appreciated in the grassroots is how it changed not only their lives by giving them income, but also changed their attitude and behaviors as well. So what we also saw as one of the changes that took place once we introduced the program is that the communities that we're helping became more financially aware, financially in control of what's happening. Always remember that the people that we're helping are not banked. These are people who probably just earn something just enough for them to live the day. So the idea of them saving up, the idea of them accumulating wealth in an online app was something that's totally bizarre and something that's foreign for them. But when we introduced to them, and of course you were with me when we explained to them how the technology that we're using can be their banking alternatives, we basically saw them interested in saving, number one. We basically saw them being able to manage their finances better. And we also encourage them to actually save rather than spend. So much so that we've seen other beneficiaries asking me if there is a possibility for them to add more, how do you call that? Add more CUSDs into their wallet so that they can maximize the benefits of the reward system that they usually get from Valora, etc.
Great. Great. Thanks, Bernard. Let me now turn to Emmah from Cinch. Emmah, tell us about your experience. How did the farmers react when they had like the interaction with the technology and also like the credit program?
Yeah, thank you, Angelo, for that. So just a bit of some context, just to make the audience understand the kind of farmers that who who is this particular smallholder farmer? So this is somebody who has little to no access to education. So their literacy levels are quite low. And then when we're talking about income is outright, like to think that before Cinch came into the community, what they were earning was significantly lower. For example, maybe less to $1 a day just to survive. And so the dramatic impact that has been there for the past 2 years, it's just there. It's visible. You can be able to see that. And so particularly with Celo's technology and its use within the community, that is the smallholder farmers, as well as a number of employees that we delegated these loans to. One is that opportunity to address real and immediate needs by getting on the ground and witnessing the potential of how a DeFi enabled employer-based lending credit had that potential to create an impact on these smallholder farmers within the Celo community as well as our employees. And then I would dare say just the pockets of opportunities within this pilot to create more accessible, more efficient solutions, credit solutions, whereby our employees and these smallholder farmers were able to get loans at such negligible interest rates and without laying or forwarding any collateral to us. So, and a good example is we had women, right? So the casual laborers coming to us and telling us, they can now be able to say offset the short emergencies that they had at the time. For example, if it is taking their kids back to school, and if it is doing just some small monthly shopping for their household. So that impact is very direct and it was dramatic. One, in terms of how accessible these loans are, right? Or the income advances were. And if you can just compare with, say, the traditional means of getting credit, even here in Kenya, you have to lay collateral, you have to sign a lot of papers. So the bureaucratic process, we alleviated that process, and it was direct to these farmers as well as our employees. So that was one beautiful surprise in this pilot.
Yeah, I think there you go.
Hi, Angelo. Over to you.
Yes, yeah, thanks, Emma. I think you're illustrating a very important like learning or takeaway from the project that we did, because as you've mentioned, most of the farmers they needed to go to like informal sources, right? Or let's say loan sharks sometimes that would charge them exorbitant fees just to get credit. And so like that,
Exactly.
so like
Even, sorry.
Go for it, yeah.
Sorry, there's some lagging behind, so maybe that delay is there. You're very right, Angelo. We getting down on the ground and asking some contextualized questions or having these contextualized discussions with them, you can be able to clearly tell that one, they either go through that bureaucratic process of getting a loan from the formal institutions, that is the circles, right? That is the banks or the chairmans that they have in the community. And when you talk about the informal way of getting these loans, there are predatory shark loans or the Shylocks within this community. And so giving people access to these loans, the accessibility itself, as well as the efficiency in terms of the negligible interest rates. We have people coming back to us and asking us whether we are going to sort of like scale it up so that it serves a greater majority of these smallholder farmers, as well as bigger percentage of our employees.
Great. Yeah, just for context, the pilot with Cinch, their employer Cinch posted collateral in Mula Market and then delegated that credit to the farmers directly. So they did not need to post the collateral themselves. They just leveraged that relationship. And then what happened was they didn't have to download like complex applications through our off-ramp Kotani Pay. They were able to access directly the loan and receive it in their mobile money app. And I think this is what Emma was saying. They didn't have to wait for a long time anymore. Instantly, because they were approved, they got the credit immediately. So that's great. I'll turn it now to Emmaculate. Just like her experience as a digital worker, as a gig worker, tell us like what surprised you the most about the experience.
Thank you so much, Angelo. So first of all, having done and currently doing digital micro work, payment doesn't come real time. You can do a gig a whole week and then you get your pay the next week. So what surprised me the most with the Celo technology is that my pay appeared immediately. So once I'm done, I get paid and I can access my money immediately, making it easier for me to even plan for what to do with the money. And even if a need arose on my end, it's kind of didn't make me sweat so much because I was able to access my money when I needed it. Also, one thing that I really liked about the Celo technology is that it's user friendly. It's so, I say this because I am part of the youth population in Kenya, and we are kind of a big percentage of us are tech savvy. So I found it very user friendly, easy to use. I didn't have to keep asking questions here and there, so it was very easy to maneuver on my own. And also, one more thing I liked about it was the fact that I'm able to save in the app and also buy crypto at a very affordable price. Uh, Crypto in Kenya is majorly around Bitcoin, and as we all know, probably most of us don't know that, but some of us know that the price of Bitcoin is currently
No.
very high. So for me to be able to get Bitcoin, I'd have to save for like what, 10 years or something. So with the coming of Celo and CUSD, I was able to get my hands on cryptocurrency at a very affordable rate, trade, buy, sell. So the whole jargon on cryptocurrency and Bitcoin was so much easier, considering the fact that now I had Celo in my hands, I had CUSD in my hands, and also the on ramp of Ubeswap made it even easier to buy other different cryptocurrencies that are available. So yeah, that is what I enjoyed in a nutshell, and what surprised me about the Celo technology, Angelo.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Immaculate. And I think what Immaculate is demonstrating again, like digital work opening the gates of DeFi for them, right? Like they earn cryptocurrency. Otherwise, it's hard to access. As she said, like there are pain points in Kenya in terms of like even if you want to participate. But then we introduce them to other tools, right? Like good ghosting,
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
savings platform, as well as like Ubeswap, right? We had the opportunity to
yes.
do that. So now they now do the swaps, and I think what she's saying is like again, this is a part of our belief that crypto should be accessible. Like if you have a mobile phone, you have to be you can access it and you can take advantage of its of its benefits. Yeah, I'll post the second question to the group, which is like we're also joined by builders here, developers who are in the process of like developing financial products and services, especially those that are crypto based, right? Like as users, as those who are deep into the community, what can you advise them in terms of like designing better products and services for the communities that you represent? Um, Maybe I'll start with Emmah from Cinch this time.
All right. Thank you for the surprise there, Angelo. All right. So I would say, how about we automate the process of delegating as well as garnishing these loans? And why I'm saying this is we are now at the final leg, the last leg of this pilot. That is the third month. And we've had a few human errors. Human is to err anyway. So one or two cases whereby we have either wrongly garnished this money or in terms of the wrong person, or entirely garnishing the entire salary, and that was not the agreement in the first place. And it's understandably so, because from our end, it's quite a bit too manual for that. And so my recommendation would be to make that experience more suited for the end users. That is us as Cinch on the backend team, make it more seamless or smoother. And then also when it comes to say managing the employees' interest in this credit, That is by way of communicating the product offering. How about we also sort of make that operations from communication, or basically making the smallholder farmers as well as the employees or any other potential person interested in these loans, how do we make them more aware about these loans, right? How do we make the information more digestible to them, the kind of channels that we can use? So it's a lot of integration of tools into this whole machinery or process that would be of such benefit if and when we scale up this pilot. Because currently we are serving at least 100 borrowers. So when it moves to levels of thousands, right, or hundreds of people, it would be a bit too hectic and manual for us, too hectic, and not an easy or nice process in the end. So that's my recommendation.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think what Emma is speaking to is like there's work to be done, especially like thinking about scale, reaching to organizations that have these like relationships that can extend the same employer based lending model, right? And just making sure that the technology is again accessible to these organizations. Like there's an opportunity there. Emma is saying, like based on our experience as well, like making it easier for them to access the opportunity in Mula market, for example. At the same time, like education, teaching the farmers about the tech. How about you, Emmaculate? Any tips for builders and developers on how to make it better for digital workers?
Well, yeah, Angelo. So, from my experience, I'd say that at the moment, if I'm not using a website that is directly connected to Valora or Celo, I cannot access or use my Valora app. I don't know if you get it. So what I would like or what I would recommend is that can we have the builders try or the company Celo itself, can we try and get to collaborate with other different online working platforms, so that even when I am working in a different site for transcription, whether it's image annotation, whether it's translation, I can link my Valora wallet, which is also connected to Celo, to this website. Meaning, I don't need to get money from PayPal to my M-Pesa, then to Valora. Do you get it?
Yeah,
It's it's a bit it's a
that's
bit of a process. So if we can get you guys to collaborate with more online working sites, which will enable me and other micro workers to be able to get their money, because the truth is, on the app Valora, there's good ghosting. So there's the supercharge, whereby if you save, you get a percentage of what you've saved. So imagine having to all the how do I put this? Getting your money from PayPal, then to M-Pesa, then move it from M-Pesa to Valora. So in within this process, you lose some few coins, which will make it a bit difficult for you to meet your target in terms of saving if you were to move the money to your Valora
yeah.
wallet. So if the developers could look into getting on board different online working sites, will that will be very encouraging. Also, another key point is that I would like to be able to trade on cryptocurrency on the app. Yes, Uberswap was brought on board. That was awesome. However, moving from the app to a website is makes me kind of quizzical, because, well, this is something that can easily be hacked. In my not so techy brain, it can be easily hacked, and I can lose my cryptocurrency or my money. So if the developers can work on a way on how we can trade in cryptocurrency within the app, different cryptos that are around in the market within the app, that will be awesome. and it will save me the trouble of worrying or even not wanting to trade with different cryptos, just because I am scared, because I'm moving from the app to a website whereby I can easily lose my money and the cryptocurrency I have
That's
by now.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
it
That's
from me.
right. Great, Immaculate. I think you're speaking to, like, as we scale again this use case, our continued business development of just reaching to more online work platforms that will give you more opportunities, right? And like integrating CUSD to be useful for you, so that as you've said. And I think the other thing you're harping on is user experience, right? Like making sure that our apps, our products and services are really user friendly and really accessible. So like jumping from one app over the other and getting lost in translation here and there can be mind boggling, especially for like users. So that's great. I'll turn to you now, Bernard.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the developers for continuously updating and improving the app every now and then. So that's something that we're clearly happy about because some glitches get resolved regularly. To put things into context, the recommendation that I'm trying to forward will come out of necessity and practicality. Um, uh, Based from the communities that we're actually helping. So again, we're helping a community of weavers and a community of cotton producers who, by the way, are these are their means of livelihood. And when we talk about this being their livelihood, it means that these are the commodities that they also trade. The weavers trade textiles, the cotton producers trade raw cotton. And one of the things that we've also done in the communities is that we've also helped them, especially the weaving community, help them reach greater market, opening them to the international market, especially during the time when they were practically not selling anything. That was during the time when the Philippines was hard hit with the pandemic. Always remember that during the harshest periods of the pandemic, the Philippines was under lockdown for 7 months. And during that month, no movement took place. The weavers didn't sell. The weavers couldn't earn anything. And it's just so timely that Celo came in to fill in the gap. And now that we're actually getting back to normal rhythm and established their online platform and introduced them to other markets. Like for example, we've marketed and sold their products in Germany, France, and the US. And definitely now that they are stepping into that phase of trying to maximize the technology in their trade, maybe what we can also look at would be the ease of being able to add more money or CUSD into their accounts in the process of ramping. Because I think in the Philippines, there are a lot of limitations. Like, for example, there are two banks that we cannot use to channel out the funds in order to ramp up the Valor accounts that we're using, especially for those who are using the accounts to sell their products online. So maybe the developers can maximize other outfits or other channels wherein it would become easier for our users to be able to ramp up the money that they have in store in their app. And at the same time, conversely, I think this is connected to what Emmaculate was talking about, would be how the ease of monetizing the CUSDs. Again, the communities that we're dealing with are in far-flung areas, and sometimes they only get to the town center once a week or maybe even lesser. So it takes a lot of coordination and proper scheduling as to when they can encash their money. And at the moment, the only way that they can do it is through a money changing station in the town proper. But if you look at it in the Philippines, we actually have a lot of e-wallet technologies already, and I'm sure Angela, you can expand on this later. And maybe the developers can find a way in bridging one of these e-wallets to Valora, so that it becomes more easier to it becomes easier to use. So the functionality grows and becomes more useful for many for many other functions.
Right.
So yeah, that's it. So maybe that's something that the developers can look at: how to ramp money easier into Valora, and how to encash the CUSD with more varied options by capitalizing the existing e-commerce technology that we have in the Philippines at the moment.
That's right. Thanks, Bernard. Those are very insightful, especially because, like, even in Celo, Connect the World, right? We're focusing on, like, how do we increase the accessibility of, like, on ramps and off ramps, especially because, like, as Bernard has mentioned, the community wants to sell their products, right, and wants to make sure that they get to enjoy the revenue from those sales for their daily living. So, like, it again highlights the need to us continue working on how we connect to the fiat world. That's great. I'm looking at time. I want to give an opportunity to the audience to ask a question, to have a conversation. So, anyone who wants to pose a question to our participants or beneficiaries. I think, sir, you have a question.
Hi, I'm Christophus, founder of Phone Bank, Celo Batch 5 participant, winner of the Impact Award. I applaud you all in your pilot. What types of different on-ramp solutions vis-a-vis your specific markets have you looked at? And somewhat of a loaded question in that Phone Bank provides a on-ramp type service using prepaid airtime as a medium of exchange into the Web3. But just curious as to what other types of services you might have looked at, whether that be like a wire or, obviously you're talking about Valora. You'd mentioned one of the challenges with using sort of local money agents, et cetera.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Bernard, you wanna?
Angelo?
Bernard, you wanna take that question?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Chris. Thank you for that question. We've had experience in doing on-ramping before, and it seems that selected banks are only allowed to connect. For one of the biggest banks in the Philippines failed to be used as a conduit for channeling funds into the Valora. So that's something that maybe we can work on. Because in the Philippines, there are a lot of banks, and it seems like the biggest banks available to us and the most common banks in our area are not capable to do such transfers. In terms of other technologies that we can use to channel the funds in, aside from just encashing them to that one money exchange center called Palawan, is because in the Philippines we do have a very saturated market of e-wallets, e-commerce apps, and maybe I don't know, as long as there is no conflict of interest between partnering with them, maybe that would make things easier. Like, for example, in the Philippines, the predominance of the use of GCash is quite well established. It's an e-wallet thing, and many people use it. There's also this Pay Maya something. So maybe those are something that we can partner up with so that the use of the CUSD does not only rely on having to encash them, but also to be able to use them alongside other e-currencies available in the Philippines, for example.
Thanks. Thank you, Bernard. Emmaculate, do you have ideas for that? Like other ways by which you want to like manage, transfer your money to convert it to crypto?
Well, sure, Angelo. So as you already know that in Kenya, uh, most people either transact by cash or M-Pesa because of the close to very minimal transaction costs. And that's why, if it could be possible to directly move money from my M-Pesa to Valora and to CUSD, it would be easier as compared to using a USSD code. Makes it the more difficult because you have to key in a code, pick a number that corresponds with the response which you want to get. However, using APIs would make it easier for me to move money from M-Pesa to my Valora account. This way, I don't have to lose any money, because I'm sure if you use APIs, it will reduce the amount that is deducted. In as much as it's very minute when using Kotani Pay, I believe if we could do a direct API connection from M-Pesa to the Valora wallet, it would make it even much easier to transfer money from my cash from being Kenyan money to CUSD. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Okay. Thank you. All right. Emma, or like other questions from the audience? This is your chance. All the way from the Philippines and Kenya. Yes, I will go at the back.
Hi, my name is Ahmed, and I had a question on. I noticed that there were some challenges, obviously, with transferring cryptocurrencies. What are some of the top 3 challenges you face in onboarding new users, whether convincing them of the markets or convincing them of the potential benefits in terms of changing to this newer technology for them?
I think our participants have a lot to say about this. So like just like your experience, the rough patches of onboarding, I will cover my ears. Maybe Emmah from Cinch, like just like the experience in onboarding, like the difficulties we experience.
All right. So thank you, Ahmed, for that question. One challenge was, how do we communicate the language of cryptocurrency, considering the specific demographic of user that we were serving. And this is a smallholder or an employee who doesn't have much exposure when it comes to cryptocurrency. And Angelo, you remember we had to make that unanimous decision to leave out any jargon related to cryptocurrency out of the conversation, so that we would make this information, or how we are passing this information, more digestible for this type of user. So I would say that language, the conversation around cryptocurrency is still quite alien to our users. The next one would be, we had to, considering where we are at Solio, there's little to no connectivity. And so we had to do some of these processes quite manually, especially when it came to like the registration of names, as well as just an onboarding people into the platform. But one thing I really appreciate is we did not go the mobile application way. We used a simple USSD way of onboarding users, and so all they had to do is, and we made it very specific to them, that come with a feature phone whereby you can dial stay #123 whatever hash, and then that way you're able to access your money. But another challenge was on that was, again, the USSD application sort of failed. I could not say whether this was due to connectivity, but now we had to go through like the M-Pesa option. That is the current or the most dominant mobile money platform here in Kenya. So the language has to be demystified, as well as the little to no connectivity, depending on where we were serving these borrowers. Yeah.
Yeah. So Emma is sharing about like we were literally in the middle of the field, like in the farm in Nanyuki, and sometimes like the internet was not stable, and so like USSD is supposed to provide the access to the farmers just by their mobile phones, but even that signal to the carrier was not with us all the time. But yeah, as well as like that demystification. I think Bernard has things to share about this question as well.
Yes, thank you for that question, Ahmed. So basically, what we encountered during the onboarding is that it seems that the apps that we're using, Valora and Impact Market, are also selective on which phones where they can be downloaded. It has been our experience that there were some phone models that failed to download Impact Market and or Valora. It seems like there's this barrier that we need to break one way or the other. Because always remember that while it's true that of course when you seek for higher technology, you should have a higher technology phone as well. But on the ground, we're actually helping people who are not that fortunate to be able to upgrade their phones all the time. So they're probably stuck with phones that were manufactured way back still in 2010. And it's just sad that when we want to go back to the goal and the objective of the program, which is to help them alleviate themselves from poverty, and we just couldn't push forward into helping them just because their phones cannot download the apps. So sometimes that's a little bit frustrating and a little bit sad at the end of the day. And another thing that we've experienced halfway through the program is that we did have some beneficiaries who used old iPhones, and starting December last year, it appears that iPhone users can no longer make claims. So suffice to say, I think we have more than 3 beneficiaries who have halted the availment of their money or assistance since December, just because their phones for some reason can no longer serve the needs of the app. So those are technical problems that we've encountered, and in fact, what we're trying to do now is that once someone graduates in the program, we actually beg them if they can just lend their phones to the person who failed to move forward, just so that they can continue receiving claims again.
Yeah, I think Bernard is speaking to like like the most of the applications are trying to kind of like, when you think about especially like this clientele, this group, like making sure or being sensitive that some of their phones are inherited from like the
Yes.
like old and like or like
Yes,
bought
so
or like bought in secondhand markets, and so like the models or something
that's
from them.
correct.
Yeah. So
That's correct, because I think Angelo was able to see this. Obviously, again, we're dealing with low-income farmers. So when we asked them to get a smartphone, of course, what they did was they tried to get the most affordable smartphones in the market, which are usually phones manufactured from China, and it just so happens that they are unable to download either one or either of the 2 apps.
great. Thank you, Bernard, for sharing that. All right. Maybe that's a good place to pause. Thank you again so much. Maybe Julian, just like to show again our panelists. Let's for our audience, let's just switch it to what do you call this mosaic mode. I wanted to thank Emmah, Emmaculate, and Bernard. Maybe the crowd can give them a round of applause. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time. And without you and your partnership with the Celo ecosystem, we will not learn. We cannot be better. And we're happy to partner with you, and we look forward to more collaborations with your communities. So thank you very much.